my name is Sharon Fitzpatrick and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cook a lovely beef stew, and I'm going to do today's beef stew in a slow cooker, and the beef is lovely and tender. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to share it with any of your friends who might like the recipes or like to look at the channel, please share it on social media. I'd love to hear from you. Just leave a comment on what you think of the video, and if you try any of them, just leave your comment to see how you got on. YouTube loves it when you share or comment, and so other people get to see the video. And do subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it just means that you get notification if you ring that little bell, and it'll tell you when new videos get put up. Now there you have your lovely, delicious beef stew. Now you can go to the butcher's and get a bit of stewing meat, but personally I love to get a round roast, one with not a lot of fat on. That's just my personal taste. I stay away from fat. I mean, look at this. It's just a nice bit of beef without the fat. I just cut off the bits of excess fat that's on the edge. There's loads of goodness in beef, but I tend to stay away from the fat just for the health point of view. But I know if you get a nice fatty bit of stewing meat, it does give lots of flavour. So it really is down to you what you prefer. But this is just what I use. And today I'm going to be showing you how to cook a stew in a slow cooker. Now, of course, you can do this on the hob, and you can, I mean, look at that. That's just a really good bit of meat, this is. But of course you've got to stir it occasionally and keep an eye on it. With the slow cooker, you just put it in there, put the lid on, and you don't touch it. So it's great if you've got a busy lifestyle and you're busy doing bits and pieces. You can just leave that, put it on early in the morning, and then in the evening when it's dinner time, it's ready. It's so simple. And if you have to go out for a few hours, you can just put it on in the morning, go out, do what you need to do, and you don't have to be worrying about it. Now, I love slow cookers. They make the meat really tender. Use a nice sharp knife when you're cutting the fat off, and make sure it's away from your body. Don't bring the knife towards you. Nice cubes, about an inch. Now, make sure with the beef, when you store it raw before you cook it, make sure it's stored in the bottom of the fridge. If you store it on the top of the fridge, juices can drop down. That's where bacteria can go onto the other food in the fridge. It's a good idea to keep separate knives for meat as to what you do with the vegetables. I personally use a blue-handled knife for my meat and a red-handled knife for the vegetables. Keep it separate. Same with the breadboards. Use a separate breadboard for the cutting meat, separate board for cutting fish, and separate board for cutting vegetables. And obviously wash your hands before you handle the meat and after you handle the meat. We just added the beef that I cut up into about 200 ml of water into the slow cooker, and you want to put this on a high heat and put about 200 ml of water and add your beef. And I know I say this on every video, but make sure you put a tea towel underneath your chopping board. And now we're going to cut some onions up. Now I personally love onions, so I like to add 1.5 onions. And if you want to know how to cut the onion without crying, I'll put a link below. Now it's personal preference if you want large chunks of onion in your stew, or you can have small diced onions, or you can have sliced moons. I personally am putting one half of an onion for the sliced moons, and the rest I'm going to dice. Fairly chunky diced. Now it's optional if you want to peel the carrots, or you can keep them with the skin on. And what I tend to do with my carrots is I want to do some circular ones. Make sure that your hands are bent so you don't, there's no way you can cut yourself. So, and use a sharp knife. If you're using a blunt knife, you're more likely to cut yourself. So keep your fingers out the way and just slice circles. 4 average sized carrots I'm putting into this stew today. Now we're just going to use half a a swede, or some people call it turnip. And we just cut the skin off. You can peel it if you wanted, but I just cut it. And you want to dice this fairly large chunks. You don't want it to be doing it too small. You know, decent sized chunks. And again, make sure you're using a good knife, because swede can be quite hard to cut. You can actually buy it diced up in the shop if it's too difficult for you to cut. Now this is such an easy dinner to make. Literally is just, you put it all in the slow cooker and just leave it. It's so simple. And all in one go, just add all your other ingredients. Onions, carrots, sweet. It looks a lot, but it will go down. Give it a little bit of a stir. So now to this, we're just going to add a beef stock cube with a 200 ml of water. Now we'll let this cook for about an hour, and then we can add some potatoes. Alright, we're just going to chop some potatoes, about 4 potatoes, into little cubes. You don't want them too big. I mean, when you boil them, they can go a bit mushy, so you'd want them larger. But if you put them in the slow cooker, you can have them that little bit smaller. So after about the hour, hour and a half, you add the potatoes. You can do it all in one go, as long as you don't fill it up too much. You can do the potatoes at the same time. Then it's a case of just leaving it. If you've got enough space, you can add some leeks. So an optional extra you could put in is some diced apple. You want fairly small diced. So you just add the diced apple. I've probably filled this up a bit much, but that's okay. It will still cook. It might just take that little bit longer, but you don't have to fill it up as much as what I have. Now in the slow cooker, you want to cook this for a good 8 hours. It doesn't matter if you leave it longer and leave it for about 10 hours, that's fine. When it's a big large amount like this. If you fill your slow cooker up, you need at least the 8 hours. So put it on at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's ready for 5 o'clock in the evening. So simple. And don't keep taking the lid off, just leave the lid on once all the ingredients are in and just leave it cook away. And it'll be ready and it'll be delicious. All right, as you can see, the colour has changed and it absolutely smells delicious. I probably could do with a little bit more liquid, so I've just got another 100 ml of water and added a stock cube. So I've let this cook for 7.5 hours. I'm just going to give it another half an hour and then that'll be ready to serve. Now if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of, just a tiny bit of gravy in here, or you can leave it as it is. Another option, if you wanted to, is to add a bit of tomato puree. Time to dish this up. And I tend to have it in a bowl and just eat it with a spoon. Of course, your other option is to, if you wanted to add that gravy and make it a thicker juice, you can then have it with some mashed potatoes and some vegetables. And here is the lovely beef stew. And if you made this, you'll get to see how delicious this actually is. Enjoy. Thank you for watching the video today on how to make a beef stew. I hope you enjoyed it and do share with your friends.